more details. Dr. Singh is currently teaching in Maynooth University in Ireland. He has earlier been in Abu Dhabi and of course also at IMT Ghaziabad. He did his PhD in Delhi. He has a varied, interesting spectrum of research interests. It includes international and strategic HRM, expatriate management, knowledge management, responsible innovation management, and sustainability and ethics. He has published in a number of top journals, namely Journal of Business Research, Journal of International Management, Human Resource Management Review, International Journal of Human Resource Management, European Management Review, Asia Pacific Journal of Management, Personality and Individual Differences, Technological Forecasting and Social Change, Business Strategy and Environment. The very other interesting thing is that he's currently holding, editorial responsibilities of a number of very leading journals, top journals, like he's the editor-in-chief of Journal of Asia Business Studies. He's a reviewing editor of Asia Pacific Journal of Management. He's an associate editor of Journal of Business Research. He's a consulting editor of Journal of International Management. And he's associate editor in Journal of Intellectual Capital and Cross-Cultural and Strategic Management. He has supervised about 11 dissertations. So I think without further delay, I will turn over and give the floor to Dr. Singh. And then, of course, you can all have your questions ready once you've heard, and we will take questions. Thank you so much. Over to you, Dr. Singh.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shoma, for introducing me. And thanks, Professor Rajiv, for giving me opportunity to connect with colleagues and the bright minds the other side of the globe. As you can see on your screen, my dear friends, I will be talking on a theme which is in the domain of expatriate management that belongs to international human resource management.
Please, can others kindly mute yourselves? We don't want to hear this background conversation. Thank you. Sorry, Dr. Singh.
No worries. Yeah. So what I was telling that I will be talking to you on a theme which is very close to my heart, and that theme is into the domain of international human resource management, and specifically the expatriation management. So I will be sharing with you my own research, which I carried out over a period of time. You can say that for last 7-8 years, I have been working in this particular area, and I have published several papers in top journals. So I will be having a kind of dip into and then sharing with you what the field says about managing expatriates when they go and perform a sting. So that's why the topic is what makes expatriate employees stay and perform in the host country context. Thank you so much for introducing me, Dr. Soma. And then here, what Dr. Shoma has already spoken about my profile, and this is on your screen. Recently, after sending my brief profile, sharing with my brief profile with Professor Rajiv, there is few addition. Recently, I have been found as top 2% scientist in terms of impact worldwide in the citation, in terms of standardized citation indicators for the year 2020. So they calculate and they publish. So there are over 100,000 scientists across several disciplines all over the world. And then based on the impact that your research make, so they have 2%. So thanks to my collaborators, my colleagues, the reviewers, the editors, and the readers for giving me this kind of think that I really contribute significantly to the body of knowledge across the globe. Yes, recently there is one edition that until now I didn't have a publication in the ABS Level 4 journal, which is called World Leading Journal or Leader Journal. There are a few journals, around 50 or 60. So I got one paper recently accepted, and it is in the press. This has been accepted in Journal of World Business. So this is the second edition apart from what I shared with you. And thanks, Professor Soma, for giving me talking about me more than what I deserve. So, my dear friends, I will be talking to you about two types of employee who work in the host country context. And these two type of employee, they do not belong to the host country. They are not host country nationals, but they either decided to have their own self-initiated migration, or they have been assigned by the organization where they have been working for a couple of years. Like if somebody is working in say State Bank of India, for example, and State Bank of India has branches all over the world. So maybe say 10% or 15% of the employees at State Bank of India, London, will be from India. So they are assigned for 2 years or 3 years, and they ask to come back, or they are given another opportunity in another country. On the other hand, in the organization, you have employee who self-initiated their journey crossing over the border. And the best example of self-initiated expatriate is me, who is before you, that I initiated my own expatriation from India across the globe. So I started working at Abu Dhabi University. That was my own initiative. There was a job vacancy. I applied and I got shortlisted and selected and given job offer. And then here in Ireland, again, it was open competition. So you submit your application and you are shortlisted amongst that. So employee like me who are working in another country, who initiated their own migration, are the self-initiated expatriate. So my research so far has been primarily in the area of self-initiated expatriate, though recently I ventured into the organizationally assigned expatriates. So what makes them stay and perform in the host country national? So I will be sharing with you 7 researches, what they say, and those researches have been conducted by me and my colleague together, and majority of them are published and a couple of them are under the review process. So let's start to discover what research say about managing expatriate employee, whether the expatriate employee in the organization is self-initiated expatriate, SIE, which is the typical abbreviation which you can find. It's there in the journals and the book in the area of international human resource management, or OAE, which is organizationally assigned expatriate. Here on your screen, this is the first, and you can see that. So the title is what makes self-initiated expatriates perform well, development and testing of a model. This research was conducted by me and my colleagues across the globe. The co-authors are from France, Canada, UK, and when I conducted this study, I was working there in UAE. So in this study, what we, based on the extant literature that we have had at that point of time on self-initiated expatriation, we developed a theoretical model and we examine that how does this operate in a context which is UAE. And for your kind reference, the United Arab Emirates, the total population, okay, you can say that around 90% of the population in UAE, approximately 90%, they are expatriates. So they come from in different organizations, whether that organization is public sector or private sector organization. So my main domain of context, the context of my study has been the UAE, because I worked there in one of the universities in UAE for over 8 years. So in this study, what we found that the job performance, because if you don't perform as an expatriate employee, okay, you are asked, okay, you are given a letter that thank you so much, okay, you can have other employment outside, you are not suited for my organization. Thus, the self-initiated expatriates need to leverage to the maximum the strategic resource which they carry with themselves at workplace. That strategic resource could be related with the core aspect of the job, the technical and others, and also the relationships aspect, because we know that the performance of any employee, especially the employee working in the host country context, it's basically not your technical code, but also your relationships with the people with whom you work, whether that relationships is with your um, uh, colleagues who are expatriates also, or could be the colleague who is a host country national. So it is a very tricky situation. You need to understand the cultural factors and keep in mind when you talk and relate to, and when you discuss anything, even out of context from the job. So here what we found that uh, the adjustment, the work adjustment of the self-initiated expatriates are very key, and they are influenced by the kind of organizational support which they perceive and the clarity in the role. So the message for the practicing manager, which comes from this study of mine, is that you can have the best CV and you can shortlist the best candidate for the job who happen to be the self-initiated expatriate, but you need to have them adjusted with the work so that their task performance and the citizenship behavior can be influenced significantly. But the work adjustment of the self-initiated expatriates, they do not depend just on what they carry with themselves in terms of personal resources, but certainly in the organizational context, which is the organizational support and the clarity in the role. So this is what the first that research, okay, that the key, the gist from this research is that make employee adjusted, but the adjustment in the work is dependent upon his or her perceived organizational support and the role clarity. And if that is there is high probability that that particular self-initiated expatriate can perform to the maximum. And when they perform to the maximum, who is the beneficiary? Certainly the organization. So that's the first one. I will be sharing with you 6 more, and then I will invite questions and will respond to you. Moving forward, this is the second one. Or I can say that you can just go here, and this is what it takes a time. Yeah, so this is okay, where okay we presented also at Academy of Management, and then still now this paper is under review in one level 3 journal. So we have received major revision and we are working on this paper okay, to move forward. Where is my presentation? Wait, I am lost.
Sir, it's visible. You have to come down.
Your first slide is visible. You have to come
Yes, sir.
down.
I need to have, okay, my own, I can, wait, just give me a minute. Okay. So that was, okay, the one which I was sharing with you.
Yes, sir.
The second one, okay, on your screen is, this is a published work, which got published in International Journal of Human Resource Management. When I click over here, it will take you to the journal. Though it was accepted for publication in November 2018, and it was published online in 2019, but it got volume in 2021. So that's why, okay, here you can see that it's volume 32 and 2021, which is where, okay, this got published. So what this study says that, come on, I'm just lost. Yeah. So in this study, okay, what we decided that based on the literature, the extant literature, we wanted to know that, yes, the employees, the self-initiated expatriate employees, they go and work, but what makes them, okay, from the host country nationals, okay, their characteristics and willingness to help and support the self-initiated expatriates in the UAE. So what the finding of this study says to us that the host country nationals, means the Emirati in this context, in this study, okay, they have a tendency to categorize the self-initiated expatriates on the dimension of ethnocentrism and collectivism. And based on that categorization, they provide a kind of role information related things and also the social support, and that helps the self-initiated expatriates to perform well. So in this study, okay, this study is basically both to advance theory and practice in the field. So while drawing upon the social identity theory and its variant, which is social categorization theory, because the humanity all over the world, they have a tendency to categorize people and then put the people with whom they work into a particular bracket or category. And based on the overall perception of that category, the stereotype perceptions, they try to relate with him or her who are the expatriates. And that relation affect the performance of the self-initiated expatriate. So this is what the second study, which is on your screen, that we conducted, and it got accepted for publication in 2019, but it got volume in 2021. Moving forward, on your, come on. This is the third one. And as the title of my study says, that what makes mindful self-initiated expatriates bounce back, improvise, and perform, empirical evidence from the emerging markets. So this paper is based on the self-initiated expatriates. And as I said in the beginning, that self-initiated expatriates, they need to have at least 10% plus level of performance as compared to the host country nationals, so that they can stay over there and keep performing to their level based and to the expectations that the organization has with about a particular individual employee who happens to be the self-initiated expatriates. So in this study, the key is that the mindfulness is a factor which influence positively for the self-initiated expatriates to improvise at work. And once they improvise, whether they are dealing with the customers or they are dealing with the vendors, because there are many things which happens on the spot and you do not have time to think about, plan and go forward, but you have to improvise quickly and then make and take a decision and move forward. So, and once you do that, it certainly enhances your performance in your role. So what we found that the more the employee who are self-initiated expatriates, they are more mindful. Mindfulness is on the higher side. It helps them to improvise their actions, their thoughts, and then that impacts positively to their task performance. And this was published in European Management Review. So we were 3 co-authors in this paper, me, Dimitris, and Michael. So Dimitris and Michael, they are from Cyprus, and I was at that time, when I conducted this study and submitted to this journal, I was working in UAE, and the context of this study, again, happens to be the United Arab Emirates. So that's the third one. Here on your screen is the fourth one. In this study, what we wanted to know that, see, everywhere, whether it is the organization is local or international or private or public, they are interested in innovation performance. And since UAE happens to be the expats country in a way that, because there are 90% of the population who are expatriates, so innovation is the key. So what makes innovative performance of the employees at workplace? So we reviewed the extant literature in the domain of international HRM and expatriate management domain, and we found and developed a theoretical model, and we examined the hypothesis in the context of United Arab Emirates, wherein we had a sample, a dyadic sample, supervisor, subordinate, dyadic, self-initiated expatriate samples working across multinational enterprises in the UAE. And we found that the more the human resource management practices are knowledge-based, the better is the chance that there will be innovation performance on the higher side. At the same time, we also found that the more the employees, when I talk about employees here, it is self-initiated expatriates, the more they have higher level of social capital, means relating with the people around, depending upon the collaboration, the cooperation which happens with the colleagues coming from different nationalities. The more the social capital, the better the knowledge sharing, and that influence positively to the innovation performance. So that's the fourth study, okay, which was, and this study was published in Journal of Business Research in 2021. And again, you can see on the screen, we are 4 co-authors. I happen to be the lead co-author, and then we had colleagues from Italy and France who came together, and we worked and we developed a paper and shared with the journal, and it got published in Journal of. Screen is about, this is moving away from self-initiated expatriates, but to organizationally assigned expatriates. So this paper is under review in another reputed journal. So we have got the revision, and we submitted our revision, and expecting that we will get one more round of revisions before we become before it is being accepted. So here, okay, what we did, we have a co-author in this study, all Indian, but the affiliation, okay, are Irish and India. So we have colleagues from in this paper, co-authors from IT, Kharagpur, from Odisha, and we have one colleague from UK, and I'm from Ireland. So what we did that we conducted a study here. The Indian working organizationally assigned expatriates from India working in a firm in China, and organizationally assigned expatriates from China working here in the Indian organization in Indian context. So what we found that that the language ability, the role of host country language ability is the key that moderates to the performance of Indian in organization in China and Chinese in organization in India. So what it says and what it tells to us that when you go and hire people or when you organizationally assigned employee from India to China or from China to India, you need the HR department in that organization, respective organizations need to assess for amongst the employees, the shortlisted employee, that how well they have developed a kind of this host country language ability. Yes, they can be technically more proficient, right? They can have exposure to working across world, but do he or she really have kind of you can say that plus over the language part. If you are sending it to China, yes, he worked in Korea, he worked in Japan, he worked in USA, and now here in India, but does he is equally good in terms of handling or relating with people in China? Because he will have a colleagues, he will have a customer who can be from China. So there can be, they might interact, maybe some working knowledge of, okay, that Chinese language he or she must have well developed so that he can be a good resource, could be a good asset for the organization, Indian organizations in operation in China and Chinese organization in operation in India, to leverage employees' expertise to be a successful organization. So this paper is still under review process. We received one review and we are waiting for the decision on the R1 manuscript revision 1, which we submitted, and hopefully we will be receiving in next a week or 10 days. So that's the fifth one. So that's why I have titled this slide Global Mobile Workers, because you are having this employees. The study is conducted in two contexts, India and China. Then on your screen, this is my sixth research, but this paper is again under review in one ABS level 4 journal. So we are keeping our fingers crossed and hoping that we will get an opportunity for revise and resubmit, but all depends upon the expertise of the reviewers, okay, who will review and give comments and give their decision. So in this study, you can see that as the title goes, adjustment and return intentions of blue-collar expatriates. So you will find that so far I was sharing with you my presentation on expatriate employees who happen to be white-collar employees. But this study is on blue-collar expatriates, especially working in the Gulf Cooperation Council countries. We have GCC countries, UAE is one, Saudi is another, Kuwait. So this study has been conducted on blue collar expatriate employees, primarily from the southern parts of India, and in southern parts it's Kerala. So we have co-authors on this paper from India and me, and there is one also who happens to be from other country, but he contributed and he is another expert in the field. And basically this paper is an outcome of one of the doctoral students that I co-supervise in one of the IMs in the southern part of India. I will not name the southern part of India. So in this study, okay, we try to find out that yes, we know the literature is not well developed, but developed in the field of white collar self-initiated expatriates, but not in the domain of blue collar expatriates who self-initiate their movement from one country to another country. So what we found, it's a qualitative study. So those who came back from Saudi and UAE doing blue collar works to India and living over there. So we found that the support, the community support that they receive over there, that could be a roommate. See what happens in GCC countries, that it's the responsibility of the organization, which if I'm not incorrect, because I have lived over 8 years there. So the organization has responsibility to have accommodation for the expats employees, even the blue collar employees. So maybe 4 or 5 or 6 blue collar employees, they live together in one room. So it's the support that they receive because they are there without their family, no kids, no wives if they are married and having kids, only just like a bachelor life. Thus, the support, community support is very, very important. That support could be from roommate, could be co-national, or could be host country nationals. Second is the peer language competency. So with whom you work, I have seen that even Sri Lankan working there, or Filippo working there in GCC countries, they speak good Hindi and Urdu over there. Even Malayali, they speak good Hindi because overall, okay, they have to handle and deal with the people who come from, say, Pakistan, or who comes from even the Iran, okay, or the boundary, okay, portion of Iran touching Pakistan and so on. So they can really relate and understand well the Hindi and Urdu mix. So this is what the finding that we have had, and we developed into a paper. This is a qualitative study, and we submitted to the journal and still under the review process. So hopefully we get some opportunity to revise and resubmit, but you never know, maybe we don't get anything, it gets rejected. But this is what the life that the academics and we, the academics, live, that sometimes we get success, sometimes we get failure. But this is what the finding on your screen on blue collar self-initiated expatriates. So that was the 6 studies, 4 published, 2 under review that I shared with you. This 7th slide, I will be talking to you about some of the key topics, the emerging topics that we, the academics, are working and should be working in the domain of international human resource management area. The first one is the mindfulness. And as you remember, one of my papers that I shared with you is having one key variable, mindfulness. Mindfulness, if you look into the literature, you will find that people are really working on this domain. And why not? Because it makes people feel good from within, and that results into having a good relationships with the people around at workplace, and that culminates into good performance. The second topic which is trending these days is agility. If you read the literature, you will find that agility is, if it is discipline of Professor Thakur, so it will be organizational agility, right? But if you talk to the researcher in the domain of IHRM and strategic HRM, they say that it is employee agility. So we need to have agile workforce. And what makes agile workforce to be productive? This is another topic which people are working these days, and you can find some good papers coming up in top journals in the world. The next topic which is trending is resilience, bouncing back from any kind of stress, pressure. Okay, you got failure, no problem, but you should bounce back. If you have employee who is having more of resilience, he is a resilient personality, or she is a resilient person, there is this is a positive for the organization, this is a positive for that individual employee also, and especially in the context of international or global mobility of the talent, which my research has been, and I was sharing with you all around. Improvisation, it's just like, okay, the musician, okay, while performing, okay, some chord is missing, and then his mind gives the message, hey, you did something wrong, so he improvised on the stage. So these days we need, yes, the talent who are globally mobile, but he or she must have the ability to improvise on the spot, rather than, okay, I will look into the problems, will diagnose, and then we'll come back. No, you have to improvise, especially, okay, the department or the people in the department who are the boundary spanning kind of role or boundary spanning functions in the organization. The department has improvisation is key. The people working there should have this ability also, and that's trending these days. Inequality. These days, if you read the top literature, when I say top literature, means the journal which are called world leading journals, which is ABS level 4 journal, inequality as a topic is trending very high and heavily and thickly. So inequality happens. It can be, say, when the performance is assessed, the performance appraisal. I'm just giving you a context, the international context. The performance appraisal, there you can have inequality, or you can have inequality during the recruitment and selection stage, that I will not recruit the employee, the self-initiated expatriates who come from this particular nationality. So that is playing there, and that inequality, while across different HRM systems and subsystems, impact negatively to the work, to the excellence at workplace. The next is the justice. Justice is very important. It's not that you have been heard by your boss. Have you been heard at the time when you actually, okay, needed his or her time to listen to you? So justice, organizational justice, is again trending, and it has been trending. It is a very, very green area of research, and especially in the context of expatriation management. Then second is the innovation, especially the responsible innovation. Every organization says that we are innovating organization. Our products and services are innovative in nature, but are they those organizational products and services which are sold in the markets, they are responsible? Yes, you draw resources from the society. you package your product, do you use the material which are environment friendly? Do you recycle the product using the best of the best science, which says that, okay, recycling it in a particular way is making you eco-friendly? So responsible innovation is again trending these days, because we are into the world which is talking about sustainability. We know that there are 17 goals, UN SDG, Sustainable Developmental Goals. There are 17 goals, around 200 targets. And each discipline, starting from human resource management in the field of management, or operations management, or marketing management, or finance and accounts management. If a researcher can look into these 17 goals which have been set for to achieve, and there are several targets, you will find that yes, this is the goal number 12 or goal number 8, okay, that your research is there. And what we say these days, that it's not that your research is important. Earlier, we used to ask our students who will come with the research topic, we'll say that, hey, is your topic important? Give me some important ideas. Interesting ideas. Oh no, it's not interesting. It is not sticking to my mind. Okay, whosoever will be reading your work, okay, will not be interested to read through those 10 page or 12 page. So interesting research is being replaced with important research. So these days we say that, hey, yes, your topic looks interesting, but I doubt that it is important. When we say that, I doubt that it is important, we keep in mind as a researcher those 17 goals of United Nations. That your research should answer the issues which are there across those 17 goals. You cannot have HRM, your research, answering all the goals, giving solutions to, but there are few wherein you can really create a niche for yourself and you do your research. So, and through your research, the society gets benefited. The moment the society gets benefited, your research is important. Until then, maybe your research is interesting. That's another story. Ethics is very, very important in any discipline or sub-discipline of management, starting from strategic management. These days, see, for example, if you read the literature, corporate social responsibility, CSR, they used to be the domain or the baby of finance and accounts come strategy. But the kind of arguments, the kind of research, the kind of thoughts there has been a sea change. These days we are talking about not corporate social responsibility but we are talking about the micro foundations of corporate social responsibility. Because individual employee, the way an employee is treated by the boss, the kind of feel emotions got created out of several actions at workplace. That's very important. So the micro foundations of corporate social responsibilities are the domain. You will find that those strategic researchers, people researching in the field of strategic management, they have made some transition from studying hardcore CSR to the micro foundation aspect of CSR, looking at the CSR from micro foundation perspectives. And to that end, being a researcher, I have one call for papers in cross-cultural and strategic management, which is talking about micro foundations of CSR. Or for responsible innovation, I'm just doing another call for paper in top journals, which is Asia Pacific Journal of Management. So that's about, the gist is that we are talking about, we the organization, we the academics should talk about triple bottom line, the 3 Ps. We should not be talking about just the profit. As a researcher, profit could be that my paper gets published, or it's level 3 journal or level 4 journal. That is not important these days. What is important is that, does it impact? Is it important, relevant to the society, to the planet, to the people? Similarly, when you look at, as a researcher from organizational perspective, does organizational behavior, actions, policies, they are only tuned towards profit generation, or do they also have the measures which can really have a measure of environmental performance? So these days, when you look at organization, they talk about 3 types of performance. One is the financial performance, another is the social performance, and the third one is the environmental performance. So the organization which excel in these 3 metrics of performance, that organization is a good organization to me and to others who have been working and researching and publishing in the domain of sustainability and ethics. So that's from my side, and so there is a way forward, and I'm looking forward to as many questions, queries that you have, and then I will try my level best to respond to or answer all those queries. So please shoot me with your questions. I'm here to respond to.
Sir, if you stop sharing your screen, then we will be able to see everybody. Thank you.
Okay. It's fine. It's fine. You can see now, or should
No,
I
sir,
take?
you have to stop share.
Done.
Yes, that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, questions. We are open to questions. So anybody who wants to pose a question, kindly raise your hand and we will allow you to unmute and give your question to sir. Please go ahead. Students, we are waiting. Sir, I'll just make a comment because my PhD research was also a lot of what you have been talking about. I took Goody Kunst AUM theory and looked at cross-culture and communication, and that was my thesis. So I was really finding it very interesting when you were talking. I also presented a paper at the Academy of International Business on the other side of expatriates who are coming back to India and what is making them come back. So I did a research on that. So I will talk to you later on about that, but we will now take questions from others.
Good to know that, okay, you've been working on in the domain of expatriation management, and these returnees, okay, especially, okay, both self-initiated expatriates and also the organizationally assigned expatriates, do they really help organization with the kind of experience that they bring while working abroad? So this is a good area of research, and we still have a lot to explore. And good to know that, okay, you are working and you made a presentation at Academy of International Business. And I also generally, okay, I send my papers to either Academy of Management or Academy of International Business or both. So this has been okay, because when you go over there, you really have opportunity to share with your research with the community.
There are many,
Good
many.
to know, and we can connect later on.
Sure, thank you, sir.
So can I ask a question? Not a question, a clarification
Yeah.
for a better understanding for myself. When you talk about the SIEs and OEEs, right? Organization assigned experts, right? And you told several times in UAE 90% are expatriate. That's what you have said. Is it the people who are working there expats or the total population you're talking about? I think you're talking about the people who are working.
No, when I talk about 90% of the people in UAE are expatriates, it's basically the census, okay, when they conduct the census and they publish, right? So when I was about to move out, okay, it was 88 or 89% kind of.
Okay.
So if you take, okay, the same kind of percentage, okay, to the organization, maybe less, 5% less or 5% more, or 10% less or 10% more, okay, you can have it.
But that means it is very unique to UAE. But in general, the proportion of expat, be it SIE, be it OAE, not more than 10% in any organization. Am I correct?
No. See, where I was working previously at Abu Dhabi University, right? We had expats, we had people, nationalities, 67 nationalities, right? And I'm just talking about one educational institution, university. We had 5 colleges. So if you take out the students, in terms of employees, academic and staff, it was around 95% who were expats. Similarly, okay, if you look into the oil and gas company over there, okay, whether it is ADNOC or Gasco, so you will find it is not 90%, because they have a mandate. The government over there is very clear, okay, that this should be the minimum percentage for the UAE national to be over there. And the one of the agency of the government, okay, every 6 months will ask the organization to submit the head count, right? So if there is a shortfall of that percentage of UAE national in that public sector organization, they are asked to reduce the gap, or okay, not to have the gap when you will be submitting after 6 months. So you will find a difference, okay? So could be say 70%, could be 60% in that organization, say Gasco, which is a gas company, public sector company. But again, they play with the rules. The rules is that, okay, this is a public sector organization. So what they do, that they outsource several functions. So to whom to outsource? It is outsourced to the private company. The same rule which applies to the public organization, that rule doesn't apply, okay, to the outsourcing company into that public organization, whether that public organization is in the field of oil and gas, or for example, say Etihad, which is the airlines over there, or Emirates, okay, which is another airlines. So you will find that the trolley, okay, boy, okay, that kind of job they don't do. The menial job, the UAE people will not get into, right? So they are outsourced. So they play, and they have to, because the population that they have is less as compared to the need that they have. Second, the kind of competencies, and third, the kind of work they don't want to perform.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, Professor Singh, good afternoon. Just a comment, no question here, of course. It's been a pleasure listening to you, luminary like you. In fact, while I was listening to you, I just realized that, this topic of expatriates that you've taken up, but essentially for anyone to be performing well, I think what is required is most of these things, which is a huge dose of motivation, mindfulness, resilience, agility, most of the, features that you were talking about. And of course, for expatriates, of course, the other things which also, like you were mentioning, the inequality, the injustice, maybe there is a bias that they do not want to recruit from a certain nationality and things like that. So it's been a pleasure really listening to you and hearing your thoughts on this particular subject. And in fact, it's a very new subject, which we have not, I mean, at least I have not read too much about. Shoma ma'am has worked on it, but I have not read too much about. And it's been quite insightful. Thank you for this session, really. And that's all from my side. We'll connect, sir. I'll connect with you later.
Thank you so much for your comments and what you said, that yes, these topics are relevant, okay, even in a national context, but in international context, okay, you never know. For example, I give you one example that they will not make it public, any organization. They have a quota to recruit. Say 40%, they will say that Indian subcontinent, right? 10% from Europe, right? 20% from, say, Canada, 30% from, say, Oceania. Now, 40% from Indian subcontinent. So who is the decision maker over there? Okay, he has or she has, okay, a kind of space to say that, okay, out of 40%, we will have, say, 80% from, okay, the neighboring country of India, or somebody would say, the decision maker say that, no, we will have, okay, 70% or 80% from India. So there is a kind of, okay, and they give their own arguments, okay, they justify it. So those are the things which are played over there under the carpet that impacts.
Sir,
thank you so much for your comments. Yeah, please.
We have with us Professor Sharad Gupta, who has done extensive work on mindfulness. Maybe he has a comment for you or a question for you.
Yeah,
Professor
sure.
Gupta, you have something
Professor
to say.
Singh, Professor Singh, thank you, Professor Shuma, for giving me the opportunity to share my comments. Professor Singh, your research is really interesting, and especially your work on mindfulness. In fact, in your work on mindfulness, in fact, before I request your comments, I actually also wanted to wish you the best of luck for your paper, which is under consideration in ABS4 journal. I wish that that paper comes through fast. And with that, I would want to know more about your research number 3, where you are using self-determination theory to find that mindfulness influences resilience and improvisation at workplace. Did you also find that it also impacts in some way quality of life and life satisfaction and those things?
Thank you for your comments and compliments. I have not researched, but certainly the extant literature in the field, they say, they give, okay, an idea that yes, mindfulness impact your quality of life. It impacts your job satisfaction. So there are literature, okay, wherein this linkage, okay, have already been established over there.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, because in my research, I have found that mindfulness, in fact, impacts consumer behavior also. So it impacts mindful consumption. So I have presented my work at American Marketing Association or Academy of Marketing Sciences and this Association for Consumer Research. So of course, your research is really so interesting, especially the work on expatriates. How these people actually have to perform better than the host country people. So certainly, as you are saying, that it is because they will have to always keep on running just to be at their own place. So which is really interesting.
No, you are absolutely correct. Okay, mindful consumers. Okay, I give example from my own home. Okay, we are 4 here, me, my wife, and 2 kids. So when we decide, and here in Ireland, okay, the criticality, the typicality is that, okay, you have more of online business. Okay, so buying from online, okay, you have better options, okay, a good quality, cheaper price. So if we decide that, okay, we should have this one X, the battery. Okay, so my daughter will say that, where is this manufactured from? I would say from this country. Then she will, okay, either smile, or if it is, okay, in her domain, okay, that country is perceived to have a practice employed which is environment friendly. So even it is so it has really, okay. So if you are mindful of things being practiced and good or not good for the society, certainly the buyers, okay, the mindful buyers, okay, will have, okay, they make influence, okay, to the decision making of the organizational leader inside the organization. Maybe that product is lying over there on the shelf for, say, several weeks altogether, whereas other products, it's moving very fast. So mindfulness is really a good topic, and these days we have become very, very important. And this also, you know, contributes to a theoretical lens, which is resource dependency theory, right? So every organization is resource dependent, and the key stakeholders, okay, if you do not have the processes and practices which the society requires, the organization, the dependency, okay, you will have difficult time to have those resources for yourself. So this way, we, the academics, also influence or advance that theoretical lens. So it has, mindfulness is there in every discipline, and it's an emerging topic. But if you look into Buddhism, if you look into some philosophy, okay, of Hinduism, you will find, okay, it has its roots over there.
Very true. True. Yeah. In fact, you know, it was there in Hinduism, I think, way before than many other religions of the world.
Yeah. Yeah. And the literature is, okay, if you read the literature, okay, you will find, okay, these men, they mention all these things.
True.
So can I give a comment? You know,
yeah,
we're talking about mindfulness, we are talking about social responsibility, we are talking about ethics and all those things. Now, these are certain things which are now embedded in the business and environment in the West and developed countries, right? Like your daughter is saying that where from this thing is coming, right? This aspect, all these aspects, what we talked about, is not seen in, say, developing countries or less developed countries, because again, they are bothered about so-called the growth and economic aspect of it, including employment, right? So when you are talking about resources, use of these resources, okay, with a mindful consumption behavior and protection to the environment and ethics, there is a huge, discord between what the triple bottom line versus how do we have a growth and also benefit the consumers in terms of the goods and services they would like to have it, and how can we provide cheaply. So this is the discord what we are having. Even the COP26 is doing this, correct? Okay, so it is a very, very big question, okay, in terms of whether we should be mindful, whether we should be ethical, whether we should work in such a way that we are contributing to the all the strands of the triple bottom line, is a $1 million question, you know, and that's where the research is you are talking about. So are we, even in these less developed countries or developing countries like India, are we shifting towards it or not? That's the question, okay, we can research on. That's my comment, okay, in the context.
Yes, you are right. In fact, okay, I see, okay, a kind of development, okay, in my own perception over a period of time when I was there and moved to another country and came over here. And again, it also depends, okay, that kind of mindset in the society, common people, sorry, can also be created, okay, by the agent of the society. Say, for example, I give you one example here. I live here in Kildare County, okay, in a small town, Maynooth, which is a university town. So Kildare County Council, they want to have the input from the general public about the roads which they are going to widen, and the roads which they want to close, should they go about that or not? See what happened. My son studies in another school. My daughter studies in another school. I work at Maynooth University. So that Kildare County Council, okay, they sent the link to the schools, several schools, so that they have given us, okay, a link that please go over there, read, and give your, okay, comments, descriptive. It's not just 4-point or 5-point rating scale, so that they can, okay, really see and that how the society for whom they are there, okay, they want it. So the more we in a developing nation move toward this, that say in Rohini, okay, so the word a kind of, okay, the counselor, okay, they, how do they really relate and connect people, okay, towards making some park over there, for example. So hopefully it will come, but it will take time.
Sir, I have a question for you. See, what are the critical elements to publish in top tier journals? Because you were talking about FT50 and A-star journals. It takes several years to publish in those journals. So what are your few tips for the researchers so that we can target those journals?
Okay, thank you so much. I can take this question from two sides of the same table. One as a contributor to the journal, and another as, because I occupy editorial space across several mid and top journals. The key is your work. When I say key is your work, it doesn't mean just the statistical analysis. People say that, hey, I have used MOS or I have used Smart PLS3, right, or M plus to analyze this. That is immaterial. What is important is that, does it make sense to influence theory and influence practice? So if a paper has potential to influence theory and influence practice, that paper has good chance of survival. Using Darwin's theory of the one who is fit can survive. So your paper, if it is fit in terms of influencing theory and influencing practice significantly, it has potential to survive a couple of revisions before you get acceptance letter from the journal. Now, again, people will say that, yes, we are advancing theory, okay, or practice in India, because this study was not conducted in India. It has been conducted in other parts of the globe. So the top journal, when they say that they are, see, ABS level 3, they are labeled as international journal. ABS level 4, they say it is world leading journal, like G5 country, right? So they say that, these journals, they say that until and unless anything which is to be accepted should have that kind of quality to advance theory, to advance practice. So if you are eyeing for that kind of publication, some of the tips, okay, which I can share with you is that please read literature, or I will say don't read literature which is coming from A category journal, right? So A category means categorization of journal into A star, okay, it is ABDC ranking. Read the papers coming from the journals which are ABS level 3 journal. You will find that 5% of ABS level or 7% of ABDC A category journal, they are into ABS level 3. The rest, 90% of ABDC A category journal, they are ABS 2 journal. So if you are eyeing for level 3 and level 4 publication, ensure that the literature that you draw to build your arguments, to strengthen your arguments, that literature should come from level 3 and level 4, 97-95%. Because if you have literature from A category and B category, the arguments is not strong. The arguments are not considered strong. Just like having a raw materials from XYG country and PQR country in a product, two products in the market for the same need. PQR country, those raw materials they process, the quality check is very high. Thus, this product is better than the other product. So the arguments that you build, if you draw from the literature which are less than ABS level 3, the possibility of rejection in ABS level 3 and ABS level 4 is very, very high, close to 90%. Second thing is that don't give up, right? Because you will find that if you keep working, incorporating reviewers' comments, it strengthens your paper. If this journal didn't accept your paper, it will be published in other comparable journal. Why it will be published there? Because you incorporated reviewers' comments. And you will be happy and at the same time angry, to see that when you submit paper in level 3 and level 4, the reviewers' comments, they run into 4 pages, 5 pages. And when you respond to the reviewers' comments and resubmit, if you are given revision, you will find that answers to reviewers, that documents runs into 17, 18 pages, and your manuscript is running into another 30, 40 pages. And it takes time. For example, the paper which we got published in Journal of World Business, it took us 4 revisions and altogether around 22, 23 months. So you have to have resilience, you have to have persistence, but at the same time, you should have your arguments from a literature which comes from top journals. If you are having from the lesser known platform, there is a very less probability. For example, one of the journals that I am editor-in-chief, that is ABDC C category journal, right? But before a paper goes out to associate editor and who will assign a range of reviewers at my desk as editor-in-chief, around 70 to 75% of the papers, they are desk rejected. Why? Because that paper doesn't have a strengthened character strengths to advance the aim of the journal. The aim of the journal is that from level C you move up level B or A. So that's the life. So and this is the life we live. I hope I answered your queries while sitting across both sides of the table.
Right. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Professor Satya,
Yeah.
Professor Singh, you have been a highly acclaimed researcher, and you have been recognized in the 2% of scientists in year 2020. So, what is your view on presenting research in different conferences? While of course everyone wants to submit to top-tier journals. What is the role that one can, how can one use different conferences for, developing their work further?
First thing, thank you. First thing is that if you are, if your paper has been accepted for presentation in those top journals, those 3-4 journals, which are Academy of Management, Academy of International Business, or Society of Strategic Management kind of thing, you should be happy that your paper really has potential, right? Second thing is that this is the time and opportunity to connect with others, to share your work when you make a presentation. The third is that before going over there to make a presentation, you have a proceedings. You get to know that who else would be coming over there in those Academy of International Business or Academy of Management conference. Identify the people who work closely in this area for last couple of years, not 5 years ago he was working, because currently he might not have the interest, okay? Connect with him or her, okay? Through that proceedings, okay, you will have some emails, or you can find email easily these days. Get opportunity to interact over there. Maybe 5 minutes, okay, maybe 2 minutes, okay, during in the lift, okay, from ground floor to 27th floor you are moving. So that those are, okay, the space opportunity that you should, okay, use. And if you use it, it helps you, okay, because you know, yesterday when I sent my presentation to Professor Rajiv, after that I was talking with my wife, okay, and she is doing a PhD here. So I was talking to her on her research. Okay, she was trying to solicit my opinion, though we do not barge into, okay, each other's territory, research territory. So she is working, trying to develop a paper on cost of networking. She is working in the area of strategic management. So the cost of networking, because the one who is a member of that network has high possibility of being successful to get awards in AIB as a best paper, or to get published, right? So the literature is not about, maybe the cost of networking is very high, and especially I was talking about one of the things, inequality. You know, these days, whatever may be, we are, okay, the world is divided into two parts, global south versus global north, right? The global north, until and unless you are very strong, will close the gate. If you are very strong, you can really barge into and go and get into, okay, and have a chair for yourself. So who are those, okay, those who connect or who have control over those resources that you also want to have a pie of it? Though they are the global north. So the more you are, the better you are in terms of your product. They will say no, but at one time, okay, they will have to accept it. So these are the things. So the networking, okay, is important, but the cost is to get into that, okay, those chairs, those dining room where they sit. You need to be 10 times more productive. That's my experience. So networking is very important. So, but how you plan out to network, how you plan out to the key people in the network, okay, there are some gatekeepers. For example, on a lighter note, I am the gatekeeper of Professor Rajiv. So you have to relate with me before, okay, you have a connect, okay, to Professor Rajiv. So you have to be very careful. You have to study it very carefully about all these things. The more you do this, forget about your product. The product has to be of high quality, but these things are very, very important. The contextual part.
Thank you. Sanjay ji, it seems that you have wrongly fallen into the trap of Sharad ji. So it was meant to be a students' seminar, and he has gone into a research seminar which he is supposed to handle separately and invite you separately. So he is.
Sir, we'll invite him separately also for a research seminar.
No, but then that's what I'm on a lighter vein. I'm saying that he is killing two birds with one shot. Students, do you have any question? You have been attending, you have been so patient if you're there. Otherwise, I think we'll certainly invite in his capacity as a researcher. Today, he was sharing his experience, of course, as a researcher, but his studies and outcomes which may be relevant for us. So, students, any question? Yeah, there is. Mahak is there. I think if she has raised her hand with intentions and with not by mistake. Yeah, come forward, Mahak. Mahak, are you there? Your hand is raised.
I can't see her hand.
No, I can see her. She's the, if I'm seeing the right hand. Anyways, over to you, ma'am. Sorry, I have interrupted.
No, that's fine, sir.
Yeah.
Any questions? I just saw one chat message. It says,
There
thank
is
you
nothing.
so
It's
much.
saying
sharing
thank
your
you so much.
Yes.
I just saw this.
Yes.
This is a common pattern of behavior. See, last month or a month before, I had two sessions with one university in China, right? For giving them tips of writing papers in English language. So we had the same kind of life, that the moderator and the colleagues over there, they will interact and raise more questions than the students. So it is this behavior is all over the world, but it was insightful experience for me while talking to Professor Sarad, Gaurav, Professor Surinder, Professor Nirja, and Professor Soma. So if you have any queries, please do ask me.
I think one person is missing, and I doubt if he can be without any question in his mind. Atulji, it must be costing you too much to keep quiet. Please come forward.
No, sir. No question right now. Thank you, sir.
Please. Shoot.
No, sir. No questions.
Are you sure?
For once,
Yes,
he
sir.
doesn't have any doubts, sir.
Are you
He's
sure?
happy.
Otherwise, you will have sleepless night today. Let me tell you.
This is HROB area. That's why he's not speaking.
Does not matter.
Actually, there are many, but they are not exactly related to this research. They are very far-fetched. So,
one
so
of
no
those
question.
minis you can throw a question.
No, sir. It's okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So then, since nobody has any other questions, may I request Professor Saurendra Bhattacharya to please give a vote of thanks, and after that we will present a memento to sir. Sir, it will be online because we can't reach out to you right now, but it will be sent maybe at a later date sometime. Yes, over to you, Professor Saurendra Bhattacharya.
Yeah. Now I should thank you, Professor Sanjay, to elaborate on something which is an area of my interest also, and could be interest area for a lot of students who would be working in that domain in terms of international business, maybe working outside, not today, but in future. And in fact, today I learned one important thing, the self-initiated expats, right? I really didn't know about it. I only thought expats to be around OAEs, right? Organizational assigned expats, but somehow, and the other knowledge which I came to know is around 90% of the people in a country are expats. That knowledge I never had. Okay, so this is something which is a revelation for me today from your discussion, and the vastness of your work is too much actually for me to summarize in a proper manner. But what I feel that what you have presented out here is around 4 topics around the SIEs, and 2 topics which is related to something which is called the OAEs, right? And there are certain commonalities and certain differences between these two things. Okay, now if you talk about SIEs, okay, if you look into the 2 or 3 key things which we should have, which have actually brought forth into the here, is that the SIEs have to have their own gene to perform well. And what are those certain things like that? They should have the core competence, the knowledge, right? And outperform, at least not at a level beyond something who are those people who are working there. Okay, natives. That's number one. Number two, they have to, over time, they have to develop the proficiency of language. Okay. Third, what came out very clearly, that they have to build a social capital. Right. Now, you cannot succeed without organizational support. So the role of the organization was also very highlighted in various researches, what you have said. Okay. One is how the role clarity for an SIE or even for an OEE is very important for that person to perform well and contribute to the organization. And secondly, there's one more thing I'm forgetting. Okay. Okay. When you talk about the OAEs, right? OAEs, and you talk about very contextual thing in terms of the study, what you have done for China and India, and people working from each country in the other space, right? You focused on the language proficiency, right? And this is true. It is true in what sense that anywhere you go, unless there is an universal language, which is called generally the English, Spanish, or French, okay, the importance of knowing the local language is key to the performance, better performance of an individual, be he is an SIE or an OAE, right? And finally, the last part was really good in terms of the type of researchers one would like to focus on. The areas you have outlined very well. One are the individual ones, or at the organizational level, and at a very environmental level. The three areas what you have discussed. And on the individual ones, you talked about, jot it down, just 1 second. Mindfulness, your agility, okay, on resilience too, and your improvisation. So these are all individual characteristics which you need to develop over time, right, to be a better performer not even in your own country, elsewhere also. Okay. Now the role of organization is very important. Okay. And in today's context, when you're talking about role of organization, you mainly focused on the HR functions, right? And are the functions and its rollout in terms of it is bringing justice or not? Is it creating inequality or not? Probing into those type of things will also help in motivating people that if you are actually following those justice and equality or whatever, it translates into better performance. Okay. And at the environmental level, you talked about ethics, you talked about social justice, ethics, sustainability, right? And triple bottom line. And the most important thing what you talked about is research is not only finding out something new or contributing to the theory, is it important equally as well or not? Okay, so it's not only knowledge building, but it's also important in today's societal context. Okay, you very, very vast thing which you have comprehended in a very small 35-40 minutes talk, and it was so useful. I really liked it. Okay, and I hope I summarized, I didn't miss out any points, but thanks for giving such an opportunity to all of us to listen to you, your work, and the gamut of your work and the influence you are making in the field of research and knowledge. And thank you once again for your time for us, and we'll be more than happy to invite you further for such beautiful sessions. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Professor Surendra.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sanjay ji, from my side, for all of us, on the side of DSB, students, faculty, colleagues, for accepting this invitation. And of course, you have heard how the audience has felt. But one thing that you missed, Surendra ji, is that the journey of Sanjay ji, when in his DU days, where he was full of mind. and to the present now when he is mindful.
Mindful.
So I have seen this transformation. So, but with this around this transformation, he remains to be smart, slim, healthy, agile, and smiling. So that's something which is there. So thank you, sir. And
Sir, we'll just wait a moment. We want to present a memento to you. Neeraj, can you please put it up? Neerajji, thank you, sir. Sir, this is a little token of our appreciation for you, for taking your time out, for being so kind to share all your experiences and knowledge, and we look forward to seeing you again. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, Professor Soma. Thank you.
at least
Thank
we
you so
can
much.
send this online at the moment.
I will send it, sir. I'll send it.
And I may be a carrier for him in few months' time, so I can take him
Good,
out.
good.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much
Thank you
for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Thanks again, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you, Professor Sanjay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.